Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In today's video I'm going to be going over the Gremyashchy auction results, and I'm really excited to share these results with you. So if you like this content and you want to see more in the future, consider liking and subscribing, and let's jump into it. The results that I'm about to show come from you guys, from all the people who responded to my survey out on the Reddit thread for World of Warships. Because of all of your input, I was able to compile this data and get a ton of good results and some figures that I'm going to be sharing with you in this video today. But one quick thing before I jump into those results, and that is that your input matters. Wargaming doesn't publish the data, and that benefits them by making us bid blindly and extravagantly, which wastes the resources of the in-game community. So your input gives us a price history of the items and tells us both how much demand for coal there is in the game, as well as how large players' credit coffers are, and just demand for all those other items. So I'll be putting links in the description down below to surveys for all the auctions that we've had so far. Please fill out the surveys if you specifically remember what your bids were on those different items for those different events. But with that out of the way, now on to the survey results. So first, let's look at the results for the Tier 5 Gremyashchy bidding. There were 15 people out of the 130 responders that bid on the Gremyashchy. From my data, no one lost the auction, no matter how much that they bid. Thus, the lowest winning bid were all at the asking price of 10,000 doubloons or more. The average of all of those bids was 16,500 doubloons. Then we have our highest bidder, which came in at 30,600 doubloons, or for those who are interested, $122.40 in US dollars, which is well over the 20,000 doubloons over the lowest winner. So let's plot all of these bids to get a clearer picture of all of the bids. So as you can see, the green bar indicates the lowest bid that actually won, and thus every bid to the right of that green bar also was a winning bid. And since in this case for the Gremyashchy, anyone who bid ended up winning, there are no losing bids. So now next up is the 100,000 coal. In total there were 86 people out of the 130 responders that bid on the 100,000 coal. The highest losing bid was just over 111 million credits, and the lowest winner was just over 111.7 million credits. This was a great tight margin that gave us a ton of confidence that around 111.7 million credits was the threshold that you needed to bid in order to win the coal. The average of all of those 86 bids was about 102.7 million credits. Then there's the highest bidder. So technically the highest winning bid that I have recorded is 250 million. However, the highest bid in general that I have recorded is actually 500 million credits. But due to a weird glitch that we don't still know a whole lot about, actually that bid didn't go through and actually lost, which is funny enough, and here's a screenshot from the user who thankfully gave that to me to show to all of you. But let's go ahead and actually plot these bids out too to get another big picture. So like in the last graph, the green bar indicates the lowest winning bid, with all the bids to the right also being winning bids. Then the red bar indicates the highest losing bid, and all the other bids to the left also were losing bids as well. So as you can see, the vast majority of bids were well above the minimum bid amount of 25 million credits, as shown by the dark blue line going across the bar chart. So next up, the 14-point commander and the 20 camo bundle. There were 18 people out of the 130 responders that ended up bidding on the commander and camo bundle. The highest losing bid was 46.5 million credits, and the lowest winner was right at 50 million credits. This was a pretty tight margin, giving us confidence that the threshold was somewhere around 48 million credits. The average of those 18 bids was much lower than the threshold, coming in at around 27.4 million credits. Then lastly, there's the highest bidder, who surprisingly didn't bid too much over the threshold amount, coming in at 60.4 million credits, so pretty close. Plotting these bids out again, it appears that far fewer people in my survey actually reported winning the 14-point commander, which surprised me. Most of the bids from the survey were actually pretty close to the minimum amount, even though the winning threshold was still well above it. I was expecting my dataset to have more of a biased result towards people who won, since those were the most likely people to share about their winnings, or so I thought. Then the last item that was offered in the auction this time around was the Moskva commemorative flag. There were 31 people out of the 130 responders that ended up bidding on the Moskva's flag, and of those bidders, the threshold bid came in somewhere between 20 and 25 million credits. The average of those 31 bids was about 19.6 million credits, but the highest overall bid was a whopping 120 million credits. So if we take all this data and go back to the bid plot, we can see that this item has the highest separation between the winning and losing bids, with about 4.5 million credits separating them. This chart also makes the 120 million credit bid stand out as a very large outlier compared to the other bids, kind of like the 500 million bid for the 100,000 coal. So all this data is great, but how does this actually help you, the players, in your future auctions to try to get those items? Well, there's two parts to that question as an answer. Part one is, well, you just have to bid probably over what that minimum threshold was for the last auction. For instance, for the next auction, if you bid over 111 or 112 million credits, that's a good starting point. But the second part of that answer goes into the actual trend data for the previous auctions and how that price has been changing over time. For instance, let's look at the actual historical data for what the lowest winning bids were for the previous auctions. Now, these numbers are estimates because this is just what I was able to find via scouring the forums, Reddit, Discord servers, etc., and just trying to find the lowest recorded winners for each of these auctions. But as we can see, starting back from the July auction going to the current auction, the price has been steadily moving up and going more expensive over time. So this means that as the players who lost the last bid are going to try to win the next bid, they're going to bid just a little bit more, that's going to keep increasing the price of the 100,000 coal and other items as they come up. My prediction is that the coal threshold amount to win the auction will be somewhere between 124 to 128 million credits. So what about other items, like the 14-point commander that continues to be a constant item in the auction, or the commemorative flags? For instance, we've had the Moskva, Somers, Thunderer flags. What about those? Do I have estimates for those? And the answer for that is sadly no. And the reason? I don't have enough data. I've tried scouring the forums and Reddit and all the different Discord servers, but people don't really talk that much about what they were bidding for those items. Those just weren't very popular and hot topic items to talk about whether or not they won or lost. And so again, this is where I need your help. If you know that you bid on any of these items, go down in the description down below and fill out the surveys, because your data is extremely helpful in trying to get an estimate as to what the price history of these items are and what we can expect going forward into the future. But with that, thank you guys so much for taking the time to both watch the content and possibly even filling out those survey results. This kind of content is something that I really enjoy doing, so if you want to see more of it and you want to support me, feel free to comment, like, and subscribe. Best of luck out there, Captains.